To the Buffalo Bills, they ate more than $31 million when they traded star wide receiver Stefon Diggs to the Texans. That's a record for a non-quarterback, and it certainly begs the question, why would they make the move when they did? Well, Bills general manager Brandon Beane spoke today on the decision process, and here's what he said, and I quote, "A player of his caliber, you weigh a lot of things in those situations. From a cap standpoint, we decided to just go ahead and eat it now. We think we can compete and do what we need to do by eating it now and not next year. Because if we didn't, if we tried to come up with some way to split it up too many different ways, then now it's just like that albatross hanging on your neck all year. You look at your cap and you're going, look how much money we still have dead." Close quote. All right, so back to Diggs. His numbers dropped significantly when Joe Brady took over as offensive coordinator in Week 11. Diggs only caught one touchdown in the final 9 games of the season, and he averaged half as many receiving yards. Overall, though, you know that Joe Brady offense worked out pretty well for Buffalo. They won 7 of their final 9 games. Here's Brady on his plans for the offense going forward post Stefon Diggs.
Only time will tell with that, right? Like at the end of the day, when you played the Buffalo Bills for however many years, you know, you had to worry about Stefon Diggs, right? And that is different now, but you also had to worry about Josh Allen, right? And you know, it's a quarterback-driven league, and at the end of the day, you know, fortunate that we still have him and the offense will still run through him, and we'll have to adjust and we'll have to get a feel of how teams are playing us. But, you know, we feel, you know, obviously we're a few days in, but we're excited about the group that we have. When we get out there on the third down situations or in certain situations, figuring out who they're going to take away and kind of going from there.
Okay, Acho, so here's who they had. They had Curtis Samuel, MVS, Keon Coleman. They lose Davis and Diggs, both of them. So even though his numbers dropped when Brady took over as OC, the defense still had to pay attention to Stefon Diggs. Now that they don't, what will the Bills be missing? How do you see this going?
We'll actually see it building off of how they built the last 9 or so games of the season. They leaned on the running game. They leaned on James Cook, and it seemed to prove effective, winning 6 out of their last 7 games, including going to the playoffs and winning as well. And so for me, I understand the loss of Stefon Diggs, how key of a player he is. But for Joe Brady and for this offense, they were trying to react to whatever defenses were giving them. And so if it was the run game, let's stick to the run game. And sometimes the mentality of an offensive line that knows how to win by running the ball matters. And so for me, it's going to be a big loss. I understand that. But Buffalo found ways to win by leaning on the run game, even without Stefon Diggs. I think they'll continue to do it going into this season.
Yeah, listen, I think that has to be the key, is the run game. You know, it's funny listening to Joe Brady, like, you know, we still have Josh Allen. They're already putting too much on Josh Allen. I think one of the things Joe Brady did when he took over was kind of, you know, lean on the run game a little bit more. I think that really ends up being the key, you know, in terms of, you know, that first third down. Look, they don't have the guy that's been a dominant receiver that they can say, look, we're going to revolve it around him. So I think there's got to be a significant just philosophical change in their offense where, look, Sean McDermott's been talking about, look, we need to create more of a run game. I think they're already putting probably too much on Josh Allen, and so they'll do that in critical moments, but it's a long season, and I think finding ways to rely on other guys and then, you know, take the ball out of his hands at time and run the football is probably good for the Bills in the long run, especially when you consider how the AFC looks to shape up.
Yeah, and I think, guys, like Joe Brady having been the offensive coordinator throughout the second half of last year, we've seen what it's going to look like, right? They're going to want to lean on James Cook, the running back, Dalton Kincaid, the tight end, in the passing game. Like, those are their most explosive, you know, weapons that they know about. The wide receiver core is going to have to come together. And if somebody, rookie Keon Coleman, steps forward and becomes a number 1 wide receiver, great. But they are not going into this season thinking that they have one in the mold that Stefon Diggs was for Josh Allen. The offense is going to look different. The good thing for them is that they got a preview of it late last year when Joe Brady was the interim OC, and they had success with it, so they feel like they can do it. Another year under the belt of James Cook, Dalton Kincaid, who was a rookie, and they feel like they can build around those guys.
Yeah, I mean, they called run on 46% of their plays after Brady took over in Week 11, which was the second highest in the NFL behind only the Steelers. So let's get get some quick reads on where we're going to see these new wide receivers in new homes this offseason. What do you think, Acho, about Stefon Diggs with the Texans?
Well, if it's a quarterback-driven league, then I'm excited that Stefon Diggs has C.J. Stroud, or better yet, C.J. Stroud, quarterback, has Stefon Diggs to add to his weaponry. He was outstanding last year, C.J. Stroud, that is, as a rookie. Expect a big second-year jump.
No sneaking up on people for the Texans. They added some key pieces this year. All right, Tim, to the Bears. What about Keenan Allen? Is he going to make life exponentially easier for Caleb Williams, the rookie?
Well, I think this goes one of two ways. I think he either makes life exponentially easier because he's that good. He's used to catching a lot of balls. He can play inside and play outside. At the same time, you pair a veteran receiver who's played with a really good quarterback. You go to a rookie quarterback. Sometimes you can end up with a frustrated wide receiver. I think this ends up being either fantastic and perfect, or it could actually trend the other direction. You could have a frustrated number one wide receiver.
Oh, yikes. Okay, what about Allen's former teammate? What are you hearing, Graz? New Jets wideout Mike Williams and his recovery from that torn ACL he suffered in Week 3.
Yeah, still recovering, not yet cleared for full football activities. He's been working on a side field during OTAs. The Jets are encouraged with his progress in his recovery, but at this point, they're not ready to put a timetable on it. I think they expect that he'll be there when the season opens for them, but in terms of how much training camp, when he'll be able to participate, I think they want to see him get through these next couple of months before mapping out any concrete plans there for how much we will see him in the preseason.
And it certainly would seem they have enough talent. They don't have to rush him. They can take their time.